Yes, sir.
The marketplace has been fiercely competitive and margins have been driven down. What will have to happen to see margins increase, return to previous days?
I don't know that that's gonna happen. You know, owners have gotten a taste of the low margins, and it starts with the architect, the engineers, the contractors, the subcontractors. We've allowed it to happen just because we're trying to get work. So it's gonna be an uphill battle to convince owners that this work is worth more money. If you'll remember before the downturn, every budget that was out at the University of Tennessee, every price that came in was $20,000, $30,000 below budget or more. Today, that's reversed. Everything's over budget. So I think it's going to be an uphill battle to convince owners that, you know, really we need to be making more than what you're paying us. It's going to be difficult.
You know, I think to some extent we're our own worst enemy. Because of the lack of work, we as the construction industry have driven our margins down, competing against each other. I know every time I drive by, my wife gets tired of me saying this, but you'll drive by and gas will be $3.15 a gallon, and tomorrow it'll be $3.25. But everybody's at $3.25, you know. So they all follow suit, and nobody seems to get upset about collusion. Well, we can't, you know, we can't all say, well, we're going to raise our rates. And one of the things that we have seen in the, as we see all these CM projects, and particularly because a lot has been driven by the public arena in the last few years, they publish all this. So, you know, they publish, well, what were the fees on the last job? Well, when you quote the next job, well, I got to get below the fees of the last job. So it's a downward spiral. And I think we as the people in this industry, and I try to promote, it's easier to promote than it is to do, but you know, guys, let's drive it back up. We took it down, we're going to have to take it back up. And owners, even though margins have gone down, the amount of services that they are expecting haven't decreased. So it creates a challenge that at some point becomes unworkable. So I would hope we as an industry, without colluding, and we can't do that, but we need to push our margins back up, and hopefully we'll all see that before long, that's got to happen if we're going to stay in business.
Anybody else? Any more questions? Yes, sir.
All of you have had a relationship with higher education as part of your success. What would you recommend to higher education in the future to help support your companies? What would you like to see higher education do more?
Not to the level of Don and Rithbach, but we have done a lot of work over at the University of Tennessee, and I do know that the state of Tennessee, both the Tennessee Board of Regents and the University of Tennessee system, they are concerned about the construction industry and how far our margins have been pushed down. They see all those proposals that are sent in for seeking work. They see the level. I think they have a healthy appreciation for what fees should be in our industry, and they kind of look and say, when are you guys going to ever, you know, kind of make this change and get those fees back up a little bit. I know that it probably doesn't have many legs under it yet, but there's some consideration on the CM work of dropping the fee structure from the whole selection process. So they would go off qualifications and go off your general conditions and things like that, but leave the fee out and actually start looking at the possibility of negotiating that fee as a professional service. I don't think that will happen. At least it won't happen for the next little while, but it has been looked at through several levels at the state of Tennessee. There's interest in trying to help that out with the state, but that's a slow process, a tough process.
I'll do it this time.
You know, there is a group within the state, and it's being spearheaded in part by the AGC, but it's a group called Quality in Construction. It was a task force that was set up many years ago by the state architect's office, and it has brought together the three state purchasing agencies, which are the University of Tennessee, the Tennessee Board of Regents, and what they now call STREAM, which was the old General Services Group. And they are participating with the contractors and with the designers to try to modify the approach to construction and improve the quality in construction across the state. And as part of that initiative, we have seen the state, as far as TBR and the University of Tennessee, go away from the hard bid scenario on its major projects to the CM at risk for the most part, and sometimes what they call the best value approach. The state has even approved a design-build scenario, but the architectural community does not like the design-build scenario, and so they have only restricted that to projects that they consider to be design, that they consider design to be an inconsequential portion of the project. So I don't see design-build growing that much within the state. But to echo on what Doug was saying, through the State Building Commission now that has to approve all the funding for the state projects, they require a minimum of 30% of any decision regarding selection of contractors or CMs, that 30% has to be based on cost. And we would all like to make that go away, but that's going to be a challenge. One of the things that they are doing is they are reviewing the general conditions. I don't know whether any of you could spend much time looking at the general conditions, but the general conditions for the University of Tennessee are horrendous. And they are so much pro-owner and pro-designer that there is nothing fair about that document. And we're working to try to get that document changed, which will make it a little bit more equitable in the way those contracts can be administered. So, you know, I would encourage all of you to stay a part of the AGC and its efforts to try to improve that situation, even though it's like pushing a rope. It happens very slowly, but it can be improved.
Andy, did you have anything?
Yeah. I was wondering, Charlie, is the context of your question what you want education to do? What can education do for the people coming out?
That's kind of where I was coming from.
I'm sorry?
We're, universities are evolving in what they're trying to deliver to the industry. And kind of curious, what is the industry actually seeking from all these institutions, from the Purdue's, from the Auburn's, from the UT's? What do they need to be doing to step up to the plate to deliver more quality to you?
Right, that's what I thought your question was. And I think that traditionally speaking, we certainly need a continued depth of knowledge in technology. You know, the STEM curriculum. But I think that we also need to have a focus on the soft skill side of our business, and to not lose sight of that we are people business, and we depend on people to be able to communicate with one another effectively, and not to lose sight of that.
Yeah, I think we got time for one more.
So related to the soft skill side, and so much of what you guys do is more people management and utilization of the subcontractors. Are you at all worried about, even though you may not self-perform a lot of the work, are you at all worried about the pipe fitters of tomorrow, or the sweaters of tomorrow, or the concrete pourers of tomorrow? Yeah, we've got a whole hell of a lot of investment in the technology aspect of where things are going, and social media, et cetera. But at the end of the day, you know, concrete pour tomorrow is going to be the same as it was 40 years ago. So are you at all worried about finding and keeping those resources when so much of today's youth is focused on the thumbs of the text and what's right there at hand in their screen, because we don't know a day without iPhones anymore.
There's no technology out there right now to fix a commode. So, yeah, we're worried about skilled craft. The construction industry is losing 250, 300,000 workers a year, and these are skilled workers. I read something the other day. We could not sustain construction as it was in 2008 within this country. There's not enough skilled craftsmen. So we encourage and really push all of our new hires, especially out of high school, young kids, to go to an apprenticeship program so that you learn your basic skills, whether you be in sheet metal, plumbing, HVAC technician, or whatever. So we do encourage that. And that's one thing that I've mentioned. We are investing in our people through training. We're trying to improve what we have. And technology is great. It's going to help. It's helping us from a standpoint. We can't go out and just grab 20 or 30 plumbers right now. They're not there because they've retired, they've left the industry, they've gone someplace else, whatever. But technology is helping us from a standpoint of prefabrication so that we don't have to have 50 men on that job. We can get by with 30 men on that job because we are prefabbing. We're doing it in a controlled environment where we can supervise and watch and do that. But yes, we have a major concern about skilled people. It's really hurting. It's going to hurt the construction industry going forward. So that's one thing that I can't stress enough is to invest in your people, train and retrain.
Gentlemen, thank you. This has been excellent. I want to thank all of you for contributing your time and wisdom and sharing these old tricks with this crowd. And also, thank you very much to the CLC for organizing this wonderful event. Appreciate it. Have a good day.